Hi, and welcome to Product Talk Showcase. I'm Mike Hughes. I have with me today Dr. Nelson Hendler. Dr. Hendler was former president of the American Academy of Pain Management and former president of the Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy Association of America. He has written 3 books, over 30 medical textbook chapters, 58 articles, and is widely recognized as an expert in chronic pain diagnosis and treatment. Dr. Hendler, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mike, for having me talk to you. Basically, there's a variety of reasons why patients are misdiagnosed, and I'd like to tell you why that happens, what are the most commonly misdiagnoses, and then how you can get a more accurate diagnosis to take to your doctor.
Doctor, are there commonly missed or overused diagnoses?
Absolutely, absolutely. The most egregious cause of this is fibromyalgia. We have an article coming out showing that 97% of patients referred to me with the diagnosis of fibromyalgia never met the diagnostic criteria. Cervical and lumbar sprain are misused all the time because a sprain or a strain only lasts 3 or 4 weeks all by itself. It's self-limiting, yet I've seen patients who've been diagnosed with having a lumbar strain that's been 6 months old. Facet syndrome, most doctors don't even know what it is. Disrupted disc, that's damage to a disc that doesn't show up on MRI. Thoracic outlet syndrome is some doctors don't even believe the syndrome exists. Reflex sympathetic dystrophy has been misdiagnosed and overdiagnosed in a number of cases. I used to be president of the Reflex Sympathetic Dystrophy Syndrome Association of America. Found that 71% of the patients sent to me with that diagnosis didn't have it. They actually had nerve entrapments. And that's why we really want to be very clear about what is the diagnosis, because if you don't have the proper diagnosis, you can't get the proper treatment. So let's look at each one of these commonly misdiagnoses or commonly overused diagnoses one by one.
Doctor, how do you make the diagnosis of fibromyalgia?
Well, the American Academy of Rheumatological Disease has issued some very stringent diagnostic criteria. They say that you must have pain in at least 11 of 18 spots, unexplained by some other diagnosis, sleep disturbance, and fatigue. If you look on this slide, you'll see a variety of the 18 specified spots, and you have to have pain in at least 11 of those 18 spots to qualify for the diagnosis of fibromyalgia. Well, as I described in the earlier slide, you have to have pain in at least 11 of 18 points unexplained by some other disease, sleep disturbance, and chronic fatigue, and normal laboratory studies. In a study that Tom Romano and I did, and Tom is former president of the American Academy of Pain Management, he was president before I was, we looked at 38 patients sent to me with the diagnosis of fibromyalgia and found that 37 of the 38 patients did not meet the diagnostic criteria. Also, in these 37 patients, we found 134 other diseases that we could document with objective laboratory findings. And these were like occipital neuralgia, thoracic outlet syndrome, epicondylitis, Lyme's disease, thyroid disease, hypothyroid disease. So it's important to establish a diagnosis and make certain that the diagnosis is documented before you go ahead with treatment. As you can see from this slide, the question is, when you have pain in these various fibromyalgia points, is it really fibromyalgia or could it be something else? And you can see on this slide, you could get sternoclavicular dislocation, epicondylitis, chondromalacia, occipital neuralgia, occipital nerve entrapment, acromioclavicular joint impingement, C3, C4 disc. They could all mimic the fibromyalgia pain points, and if you don't establish those diagnoses or look for those diagnoses, then you get called fibromyalgia and you never get treated properly. In one article I published back in '93, with my colleagues, we found that in 60 patients, 67% were misdiagnosed as having lumbar strain, cervical strain, chronic pain syndrome, conversion reaction, and they really had Facet syndrome, thoracic outlet syndrome, nerve entrapments, and radiculopathies that were confirmed by objective testing. If we go to the next slide, we repeated this in 120 patients when we had additional diagnostic studies available, and we found that 40% of these patients were misdiagnosed again, lumbar strain, cervical strain, chronic pain syndrome, conversion reactions, and they really had Facet syndrome, disrupted disc, thoracic outlet syndrome, nerve entrapments, and radiculopathies confirmed by objective testing. Now, it's important to understand what a sprain or a strain is. Sprains are defined as a stretching of ligaments, and ligaments hold the bones together. And strains are defined as an overextension of the muscle, which move the bone, and it has separation of muscle fibers associated with it. Now, importantly, from the U.S. government, Public Health Service, a sprain causes an average of 7.5 days of restricted activity, 2 days of bed disability, and 2.5 days of work loss.
If you wish to find out what is really causing your pain, visit DiagnoseMyPain.com. For only $49.95, you'll take an online medical questionnaire. It has 72 questions with 2,008 possible answers and is computer scored. It will take you only between 20 to 60 minutes to complete the tests, and your results will be emailed to you directly in just 5 minutes. The test will give you diagnoses which correspond to the diagnosis from Johns Hopkins Hospital staff diagnosis 95% of the time. Take these diagnoses to your doctor and have him confirm them, and then order the right test to get you the right treatment. Thanks for joining us on Product Talk Showcase.